I'm Michael Irvin. Let's get back to Paul. Let's get back to Paul.
It's Mismatched Hosts and Crew Chaos during the Ticket's annual White Elephant Wife Swap Host and Crew Exchange. Brought to you by Classic BMW and Mr. and Mrs. T's Cocktail Mixers. Here's Bob Stern reliving his solo hosting dream.
Come on,
Sports
man.
Radio 1310 and 96.7 FM The Ticket.
I love it. Thank you, Michael. Here, pop up.
Anytime, Bob.
Pop up not purple here, if you don't mind there, Jer.
Put it not purple.
Let's get this up and flying. What do you think of this, Mike?
That's not really my beat. No. I have no idea what that is.
That's the Champions League theme.
Yeah.
You know what that is, Mike?
No.
On our phone lines right now, Grego, is David Chafin. Can you punch him up there? All right. David.
He sounds like the Max Miller story about to take place.
He runs the account P1s for Soccer Talk, George. It is his dream that someday even you, George, talk soccer. David, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. What an amazing honor this is.
Well, this is exciting for all involved. Hopefully for at least a third of the people listening, maybe even 40%, maybe 2/3. There's no way to know, David. We have to do radio now to the best of our ability and let the chips fall where they may, if that's the right cliche. Now, what we wanted to do here, David, is because of your quest, your several-year quest, to get the ticket to appreciate your favorite sport a little bit more, is I thought on this day, especially since your constituency helped to vote me into power here from 10 to noon for this special day, is dedicate...
I worked very hard for you.
I know, and I appreciate that. And as a return of the favor is dedicate one segment back to you and give you the rare opportunity that so many people wish they could do when they yell at their radio and demand that the people on the radio talk about what you want to talk about. I have asked you, David, to moderate the first ever White Elephant soccer segment completely by yourself to a point where you just tell me what you want me to discuss. I will discuss it until you're tired of hearing about that, and then you can move me to the next thing. And we will,
Sturm talks FC Dallas soccer.
We will spend a segment here doing exactly what you want, David. Are you ready?
I can think of no better programming move than what you've decided to do today.
Well, that's one person. Unfortunately, we need more than one listener, so hopefully a lot of people agree with you, but who cares? Let's do a segment together, David, and let's begin now. Shall we?
Let's do it. Well, the MLS Cup playoffs are wrapping up. We had the Western and Eastern Conference Finals last weekend.
Yes, we did.
We've got Seattle being ousted from the Western Conference playoff race by the LA Galaxy and the away goals rule. It's a controversial rule that MLS has instituted this year.
Yes.
We've seen it all around the world in other leagues, but we here in the United States don't necessarily like to do things the way other countries do them.
I agree.
What's your take on the away goals rule? Is it good for MLS or is it just a gimmick?
I don't think it's great. I don't think it's great at all. I think it's something obviously it knocked FC Dallas out of the playoffs this year against Seattle, and despite FC Dallas not losing either match, they were eliminated on the away goals rule. And yes, I'm used to it because that's how they do it in Champions League, but I do think MLS can't try to mimic decades and decades of what Europe has built in. So I think MLS had it right. They did do 3-game series, and if you're not going to do that, if you're going to have a home and home, then simply institute a 30-minute overtime. And, in soccer, we would call that extra time. We would look for a golden goal. We would play on another 30 minutes. And if after game 2, the 30 minutes didn't settle it, then, yeah, you probably have to go to a shootout. But the away goal rule, to me, although it's effective in Europe, I don't think MLS should attempt to mimic Europe only when it suits their interest. And I don't care for it. Obviously, it didn't surprise me, and it didn't surprise the teams but it appeared to surprise a lot of people in the media and a lot of people watching the matches. So I'd like to see them change that, and I think they will.
I think they'll give it. I mean, we know they're going to give it at least one more year, but I think as a young league that MLS is, they're still trying to figure this whole thing out and what works in the United States. I mean, how many different ways have they done playoffs in the last 19 years?
They keep changing it, David, and that's not great either. But I think much like the college football system, if there are issues and if your audience, which is the most important component of this entire equation, isn't thrilled with it, then figure out a way to please them. What else should we do, David?
Well, let's talk about FC Dallas a little bit. And by the way, I'm enjoying the way you're using my name for emphasis. Thank you. Keep doing that.
This is
What realistic off-season changes do you think FC Dallas can make to their roster to bring their first big-time trophy to Dallas?
Well, I guess it depends, like so many things do in this city. It depends on how interested the ownership is in winning. That's the ultimate question I have with the Hunt brothers and the way they run FC Dallas is, are they attempting to construct a financial, financially beneficial sports franchise, or are they interested in winning trophies? And honestly, in following that team closely over the years, I think you could make the case that that just finding something that can fill their stadium is probably the priority over the big spending that it requires to chase trophies, like LA Galaxy. It's not cheap to do what they do, and I'm not saying that's the way to always get it done, but getting Landon Donovan, getting David Beckham, getting Robbie Keane, getting and there's a bunch of players even below that who make tons of money. And FC Dallas's payroll has never gone that route. And so they have a very young team, very talented. They had an incredible amount of homegrown players contributing this year. I don't know that they have done a great job of supplementing that with the special player that comes into this league from around the world. I think they've hit and miss on some of those guys. They've never really used the designated player to find a name that would grab this city by the throat, and I know that's difficult because Thierry Henry does not want to live in Frisco, probably. But I think it's figuring out a way to get a piece of this market, and I think that goes to the type of players you sign. And I think it has to go with how strenuously you go after a winning club. And I also think it goes to things like the TV deal they have and the fact that it's easier to watch the LA Galaxy if you live in Dallas than it is to watch FC Dallas. And that's a major problem as far as I can tell. So, I love that. I love the franchise. I've been following them closely for 15 years. I've worked for them over the years and done a lot of their games, and I want to see them do well. But if you do follow Major League Soccer, I think it does become evident to you that it seems like Dallas is one of the other franchises in this league. You have the franchises that play for the titles every year, and then you have the other franchises. And unfortunately, I've never seen Dallas consistently in the heavyweight division of Major League Soccer, and I'd love for that to change.
I would too. I mean, part of my quest is to try to help.
You're doing your part.
Little way I can.
You're doing your part. Yeah. Let me reset here. This is David. He's P1's for Soccer Talk. He is setting the agenda. He is moderating a segment of Soccer Talk, and let's now approach the second half of this segment, David. Time flies on the radio here. Sure
does. Wow.
So where else would you like to go in our remaining time together? Anywhere in the world, anything you want.
I think you might enjoy visiting about Liverpool a little bit. I know that's your the club that you love.
That is my club
of choice, and everybody should have an EPL club or a club in their hometown. Mine is FC Dallas, and I haven't yet committed to a particular EPL club since I've got my local club, but since everyone else at the ticket has committed, in fact, I made a little handy chart that I posted on my Twitter account a few weeks ago, listing everybody's preferences for EPL clubs. I'm prepared now with you here and all the P1s to announce what team I will begin wholeheartedly supporting.
Okay, David, go ahead.
Can't wait.
This is very exciting. You're it's like committing. He has three hats on the table. Where's he going to school? Go ahead, sir.
Here's a hint. When you walk through a storm.
That won't be a hint for anybody but me, you realize.
Yeah.
Hold your head up high.
Jerry Lewis?
Yes, I'm going with Liverpool.
Very nice.
Better dead.
Don't forget the pacemakers over there, Jerry. Well, that's
thank you so much for the fanfare.
Well, then I will tell you this, David. As a Liverpool fan, it sounds like you are signing up to follow the Cowboys version. A team that once won everything, and a team that spent the last 2 decades frustrating its fan base quite a bit. And
I think that's what makes my following them all the more real and sincere, because I'm not following them while they're on top, or even I'm not even announcing this last year when they had that great run where they almost made it.
When are they on top?
Now, when they're down.
They were on top in the 80s, Fernando. It was a great time.
That's my point.
It was a great time. But
that's been a while.
Last year we finished second. That was exciting, but now we're right back down to like 10th where the frustration leads us. Is there anything? Okay, well, let me briefly do this, because I've heard other people say touch on England here during the soccer segment, because it's almost over, and I do just want to say that once again this season I have no reason to believe that Chelsea and Manchester City will be challenged for the title. Those are the two teams at the top. Chelsea has a great position right now, but Manchester City lurked last year, flew under the radar for much of the year, and then sprang to life in April. I just think those two sides are quality-wise deep, talented, and have the ability to run off 10, 15 matches in a row where they never face defeat, and generally are taking 3 points in all of those matches. Those two teams are financially backed at the highest level. They have a system in place. Jose Mourinho at Chelsea is back, of course, as their driving force, and I would anticipate they must be the favorite to win the title this year, but I had them as the favorite to win the title last year, and ultimately not having a striker took them down, but Diego Costa this year seems to have squared that away. Beyond that, Arsenal, I know they have a huge fan base here. They've added,
not happening.
They've added talent, of course, with Alexis has been fantastic this year, but just not enough defensively. They're a little bit like the Mavericks. They can do a lot, although now they're even in a spot where offense is starting to frustrate them. But I still think, much like Liverpool, their defense always compromises them, especially against the mid-table and lower-table sides on the road, which is how the championship is won. Manchester United is on the way back, and I would love it if they never get back, but clearly they at least now have some structure and and they're beginning to build, although I'm still skeptical about them. Tottenham and Liverpool and Everton are all kind of doing their normal thing, which is hang around, but probably finish just short of the top four. So to those that want to know how I see England, I see Chelsea and City far and away the top two, then a big gap, and probably United and Arsenal will finish out the four for the Champions League. And David, I might be able to do, well, you know what? We better get out of here because Babe Laufenberg is on at 11:10. But listen,
let's go ahead and bail out.
I appreciate your campaign, David. You have a quest. It's gone several years. And keep hanging that banner, and you're making steady inroads as we go.
Well, I appreciate you championing the cause and helping me get the word out to all P1 soccer fans that the anus is on us to make sure that the ticket guys know that Soccer Talk is safe and it will be supported.
High five.
There's no way that's a word.
High five.
High five, David. All right, that's P1's for Soccer Talk right there.
Now you got them wound up, Bob.
FC Dallas.
Now you got them going.
The children. Yeah, don't forget that FC Dallas is for the children.
That's right.
All right, it's 10:50.